Hello, everyone. How's it going? Dr. Incompetent here, and let's play some Vaudeville, shall we? This game seems really interesting. It is a detective noir style game, and yet it is a game that uses AI to kind of allow you to interact with the NPCs, and then they will respond using AI language generation algorithms in a way that might be intimating how games can evolve and change from kind of like strict scripted formulas. I'm not really sure. This game is in early access, but I'm excited to see how it unfolds. So let's explore and see if we can get to the bottom of these murders. I'm going to click start.
The second I stepped off the train into the city of Vaudeville, I could feel the weight of its melancholy in the air. Even the drizzle that clung to the city's grimy cobblestones felt a shade darker than your everyday downpour. Vaudeville was a city of high stakes and low morals where vice and virtue danced a wicked waltz. Street lamps, flickering like burnt-out stars, were the only guide through the maze of rain-soaked alleyways and whispering shadows. My name's Martini. Detective, troubleshooter, and a lousy sucker for hard luck stories. This wasn't my first circus, but this act was a 3-ring special. 3 murders, no leads, and a city on the brink of bedlam. The victims were as different as chalk and cheese, each a symbol of the city's vibrant veneer. A young dancer who moved like poetry in motion, her life cut short mid-pirouette. The socialite, a woman who knew the city's pulse better than anyone else. And then there was the businessman, the embodiment of Vaudeville's promises of progress, snuffed out like a candle in the wind. The usual peace in Vaudeville was off-kilter, replaced by the discordant notes of fear and suspicion. Strangers viewed each other through wary eyes, neighbors turned to strangers, and every shadow seemed to hold a secret. The once vibrant city had become a stage, the curtain drawn on a grim play of mystery and murder. In a city without harmony, the police chief was the conductor trying to keep the orchestra in tune. Gretzky was his name, a seasoned cop with a granite jaw and a heart that had seen better days. There was a stark tension, a raw fear that danced like St. Elmo's fire in his eyes. Whatever was happening in Vaudeville had Gretzky out of his depth, and that was a sight I'd never thought I'd see. If anyone could make sense of this twisted tale, it would be him. I'd better head to the police station and have a chat with Gretzky for starters.
All right. Here's Vaudeville. It's on the river here. And it looks like I can go to these different points on the map, these pins. I can accuse people. So it's got that, like, clue element to it. Where do I want to go? I guess I need to just do some recon, investigation. Pascal's Groceries? The police station is where they said I should go. I'll go here. Let's go to the police station. Alright, so I'm here in the police station and I've got this set up. I am Detective Martini. This is something I saw in some of the game materials before I booted it up, which is that not only can you type and it will parse using natural language algorithms what you have said and translate it to the NPC, but you can also use your microphone to talk to the NPCs. Now, I, of course, am talking to you like this, so it's going to be something where I can toggle in the upper right the microphone when I'm ready to talk to this dude. I can check my notebook, and it says, go to the police station and ask Chief Gretzky about the murders. So let's do that. Let's see if he responds. I'm going to try using the microphone just to see how, like, much more immersive the detective game becomes if I do that. So let's do it. Do you know anything about these murders?
Yeah, the murders. Hey, well, I don't have all the details just yet, but I can tell you this much. The autopsy report from the coroner is ready. If you want more information, you should head down to the morgue and talk to the coroner yourself. They should have all the grisly details you're looking for.
What do you think happened?
Well, it's hard to say at this point. But I've seen my fair share of cases in my time. From the looks of it, there seems to be a pattern emerging. All 3 victims were found in different locations, but they were all killed in a rather brutal manner. I can't be certain, but it appears that we may be dealing with a serial killer. It's a troubling thought, isn't it?
What do you mean, a brutal manner?
Oh, you haven't heard. It's quite gruesome, I'm afraid. The bodies were discovered with signs of severe trauma, multiple stab wounds, and evidence of a struggle. It's as if they were attacked with great violence and no mercy. It's truly tragic. We're doing our best to gather more evidence and piece together the puzzle, but it's proving to be quite challenging.
Have you ever seen anything like this before?
Seen anything like this before? In my many years on the force, I've seen my fair share of heinous crimes, but I can't say I've come across a series of murders so brutal and senseless. It's like a dark cloud has settled over Vaudeville, casting a shadow on the city's vibrant spirit. But mark my words, we'll get to the bottom of this. We won't rest until justice is served.
I'm going to pause the microphone here and just take a moment. I don't know, what is written and what is not, what is generated, how this works, but this police officer, Chief Gretzky, answered every single one of my questions that I spoke into the microphone. It not only understood what I was saying into the microphone, and it responded with very good answers. It's so impressive. It's such an interesting, take on text-based adventures, just bumping it up to the next level. Obviously, it sounds like his speech is, AI generated in and of itself. Not only the text, but the speech. But it sounds pretty good, given that. The animation on him and his mouth looks good. I'm super impressed with this. I mean, this is just such an interesting gaming experience. So I'm going to ask him something funny and see what he says about it. Do we know each other?
Now, hold on a minute. Have we met before? Your face doesn't ring a bell, but then again, my memory isn't what it used to be. I've been in this line of work for so long, it's hard to keep track of everyone I've crossed paths with. But if we have met, I apologize for not remembering. Can you refresh my memory?
So, no, I was just curious if, we were friends. I'm a detective, but I guess I must not be, a detective employed by a police agency, but more like a private detective. So we haven't maybe crossed paths in Vaudeville before. Okay, so I should get down to the morgue, I suppose. Which way to the morgue?
The morgue. Yeah, heading straight to the heart of the matter, are we? Very well. If you're determined to find out more about these murders, the morgue is located in the basement of the police station. Just take a left down the hallway, go down the stairs, and you'll find it on your right-hand side. Just a warning, though, it's not the most pleasant place to be. But if you're looking for answers, that's where you'll find them.
Do you have any suspects?
Suspects? That's a good question. At this point, we're still in the early stages of the investigation, so we don't have any concrete suspects yet. But rest assured, we're leaving no stone unturned. We're questioning witnesses, gathering evidence, and analyzing every lead that comes our way. It's only a matter of time before we start narrowing down our list of potential suspects. We'll find whoever is responsible for these heinous acts and bring them to justice.
What's your favorite food?
Favorite food? Now, what's that got to do with the case at hand? We're here to talk about the murders, not my culinary preferences. But if you must know, I suppose I have a soft spot for a good old-fashioned steak and potatoes. Simple and satisfying, just like police work used to be. Now, let's focus on the task at hand, shall we?
Okay, so This game is like half about me wanting to investigate the murders and then half about me just being amazed at the depth of the script that this guy is running on. Even if it's generated and it's like AI generated, it's incredibly intelligent. He was like, hey, don't get off topic. And then he was like, but I actually have an answer. Steak and potatoes. And then he related it to like police work and his kind of like, run down, aging veteran police chief attitude. I mean, unbelievable. I tried to throw it a curveball and Chief Gretzky was up to the task. Wow. All right, so let's go to the morgue. Let me see if I can just click on this and... Oh, no, I want to go back to the... I want to go to the police station, but I don't know how to get to the morgue itself from within here. I could take my own notes, I guess. Okay. Go to the morgue.
The morgue. What on earth would you want to do there? We have a case to solve, Detective Martini. The coroner's report is ready, but I don't see why we need to be at the morgue. Can't you just bring it here?
Okay, so maybe I don't need to go to the morgue. Maybe he's got the report. Oh, I get it. Okay, so the morgue is actually down here. I thought it was an internal location within the police station. Some police stations have like a morgue in the basement or whatever. But here's the police station pin, and there's a morgue down here. So let's go over here.
I see you've brought me another case. Fascinating. It's always intriguing to delve into the mysteries of the human body, isn't it? The intricate web of organs and tissues, each with their own story to tell. It's like peering into the depths of a complex puzzle, trying to decipher the clues left behind by death. This particular victim seems to have suffered a rather brutal fate. The injuries suggest a savage attack, possibly by an animal. The lacerations and deep puncture wounds are reminiscent of a predator's claws or teeth.
An animal?
Indeed, it does appear to be the work of an animal, doesn't it? The pattern of the wounds, the depth and jagged edges, all point towards a feral attacker. It's quite distressing to think about the pain and fear that poor soul must have experienced. Nature can be both beautiful and cruel, can't it? The delicate balance between life and death, between creation and destruction. But I digress. Let us focus on the matter at hand, the task of unraveling this enigma.
Were all of the victims like this?
Yes, it seems that all the victims share a common thread in terms of the violence inflicted upon them. They were all subjected to brutal and deadly force, albeit in different ways. Nicola Grossman, for instance, suffered a fatal stab wound to the back of his neck, while Haley Greenwood endured repeated blows to the head with a blunt object. Each case presents its own unique set of circumstances and details, but the underlying theme remains the same: the tragic loss of human lives. It's a somber reminder of our mortality and the fragility of existence.
What can you tell me about the victims?
Maria Jansen, Nicola Grossman, and Haley Greenwood. 3 souls whose paths were tragically cut short in Vaudeville. Maria, a young woman with a Scandinavian look, found covered in blood outside her apartment. Her body bore the marks of a savage attack, with bite marks and fractured bones. Such brutality is difficult to comprehend. Nicola, a man known in the finance world, met his demise with a single, precise strike to the back of his neck.
Where were the bodies found?
The bodies were discovered in different locations within the city. Maria's lifeless form was found in the forest, her pale skin contrasting against the vibrant greenery. It was a haunting sight, to say the least. As for Nicola, his final resting place was near PASCAL'S grocery shop, a rather mundane setting for such a tragic end, wouldn't you agree? In poor Haley, her life extinguished behind the very club where she danced, her dreams and aspirations forever silenced. It's a stark reminder that danger can lurk even in the most familiar of places.
Have you gathered any evidence at the scene of the crime?
Well, my dear detective, I have meticulously gathered and analyzed the evidence from each crime scene. The forensic examination has provided some intriguing insights into the nature of these crimes. For instance, in the case of Maria Jansen, there were clear bite marks on her body, indicating a possible animal attack. The force behind the bites was so strong that it resulted in a fractured forearm bone. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? To imagine the sheer strength and ferocity required to inflict such damage.
Do you believe in werewolves?
Werewolves, my dear friend, belong to the realm of folklore and mythology. As a rational and analytical individual, I approach my work from a scientific perspective. While the idea of supernatural beings like werewolves may captivate our imaginations, it is important to remember that there is no empirical evidence to support their existence. My expertise lies in the realm of anatomy, pathology, and death investigation. If we are to uncover the truth behind these tragic deaths, we must rely on tangible evidence and logical deductions rather than succumbing to superstition.
What can you tell me about the knife wounds?
Well, the knife used in Nicola Grossman's case was a butcher's knife, a common tool found in many kitchens. The wound it inflicted was precise and fatal, penetrating the back of the neck. The depth and angle of the wound suggest a deliberate and forceful strike. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? To think of the violence that can be inflicted with such everyday objects. It reminds us of the fragility of life and the potential for darkness that resides within us all.
When were these crimes committed?
My dear detective, the crimes were committed at different times. Maria Jansen's tragic demise occurred on a cold spring night, while Haley Greenwood's untimely end took place in the alley behind the club she worked at. As for the unfortunate fate of Mr. Nicola Grossman, his final moments occurred between the hours of 9 p.m. and 12 a.m. on April 23rd. Such specific timings, etched into the fabric of these tragedies, serve as a reminder of the importance of time in our mortal existence.
Do you have any ideas about what happened?
As a coroner, my role is to analyze the evidence and provide objective interpretations based on the medical findings. While I can't form definitive conclusions without further investigation, I can offer some possibilities based on the available information. It appears that these victims were subjected to acts of extreme violence, each with their own unique circumstances. The wounds inflicted indicate a level of aggression and brutality that is deeply unsettling. It is my hope that through diligent investigation and collaboration, we can unravel the truth and bring justice to those who have suffered.
Interesting. So, again, I'm just continuing to be impressed with how much, these NPCs can speak with me about the questions I'm asking and answer them in a way like, even though there might be some repetition of some of the wording, it's not like in a game where there's just a set dialogue tree. It's very clear that you're hearing, you're reading the same scripted dialogue again. There is just this kind of like natural flow and elaboration to it. It's not like these are short one-line responses. Like, these are involved, in-depth responses that are just pretty impressive. I also too like that, I can ask her questions. I probably should have asked the police chief more questions about the suspects and the victims and everything, and yet she can answer them pretty well, from her perspective. So now I'm thinking, like, do I want to go back to the police chief and ask questions, or do I want to go explore the scene of the crime? Like, I have to put myself in the head of a detective. And just like solving murder mysteries isn't really something that I do, but it might be worthwhile to see if there's any motive, to see if any of these people had enemies, perhaps, or maybe it's about finding out exactly how they were killed. It's interesting. Like they said that there's a pattern of violence, but like only one of them seems to imply an animal attack, and then the other has this like knife attack. So they're connected by brutality, but not method, or instrumentation or whatever was used. So let's go back and let me see. My notebook says to go ask the chief about this, and so I can take notes. So I could be like, did they have enemies? Knife attack at grocers. I want to ask, like, how was the dancer killed? Was it a knife? Let me see what is said about that. How did the dancer die?
My dear detective, Haley Greenwood's cause of death was quite brutal. She suffered multiple blows to the head with a blunt object, most likely a stiletto shoe. The fragments we found on her body suggest that it was indeed a shoe that caused the injuries. It's truly tragic, isn't it? Such a young dancer, her life cut short in such a violent manner. It's moments like these that remind us of the fragility of life and the darkness that can lurk in the shadows.
So, she was killed by a blunt object, right? A stiletto shoe, and the other guy was killed by a knife that could have been a butcher's knife that could have been found at the grocer's, perhaps, and then the other lady was killed in the woods by an animal. So it's like the murder weapons match the surroundings, perhaps, maybe, but they're all different. Like, it's extreme violence, but it's like a blunt object, a knife, and then an animal or a bite. Interesting. All right, I'm gonna bail, and we can go. Let's see. Looks like we can go to the grocery store. And I'm going to go back to the police station because I need to talk to this guy some more. Did any of the victims have enemies?
Well, Detective Martini, I don't have all the details yet. But what I do know is that all 3 victims were brutally attacked. As for enemies, I can't say for sure at this point. We'll need to speak with the coroner to get more information on the causes of their deaths. They might have some insights into any potential enemies.
Who were the victims again?
Detective, are you not paying attention?
Nope.
I just mentioned the names of the victims. Let me repeat them for you. We have Maria Jansen, a 23-year-old blonde found outside her apartment. Then there's Nicola Grossman, a 57-year-old man found near PASCAL'S groceries shop. And finally, Haley Greenwood, a 19-year-old dancer found in an alley behind the club where she worked. Anything else you'd like to ask about them?
I need to be taking better notes.
Taking notes is always a good practice, Detective. It helps keep things organized and ensures that important details aren't forgotten. Is there anything specific you need help with or any other information you'd like to gather about the case?
Okay, I didn't mean to actually say that. I just had my microphone on, which is hilarious that he commented on that. You can use the scroll wheel to scroll up and down the text here so I can get these... And... Okay. So, we know that Maria was killed by animal, and that Nicola was killed by a butcher's knife, and that Haley was killed by a stiletto shoe? All right, let's see what he says about this. Maria Jansen appeared to have been bitten by an animal.
Bitten by an animal, you say? That's quite peculiar. I wasn't aware of that detail. Are you sure about this, Martini? We'll have to look into it further. Perhaps we should consult with the coroner to confirm if it was indeed an animal bite. It could be a significant lead in our investigation.
Nicola Grossman was stabbed in the back of the neck with a butcher's knife.
Stabbed in the back of the neck with a butcher's knife, you say? Goodness, that's a gruesome way to go. A butcher's knife, you're certain? We'll need to examine the crime scene and gather any evidence we can find. This could potentially be a valuable clue in identifying the killer. Let's make sure to document this information properly and follow up with the forensic team.
So it looks like there's still, the crime scenes are still active, or they're still like gathering evidence. So I should go to these places and investigate them and see what I can put together based on what the coroner found with the cause of death and, start making some connections and ideas. So, let's then go to the grocery store, I suppose. So this is Miss Potter, and we can talk to her. I don't know what her deal is. Hello, are you the one that found the body?
Oh, I'm afraid I haven't found any bodies, dear.
Good for
But
you.
I must say, it's quite thrilling to have a little mystery in our quiet vaudeville. Isn't it such excitement?
What can you tell me about the death of Nicola Grossman?
Oh, Nicola Grossman's death. How dreadful. It's such a tragedy to lose someone in such a charming city like ours. But these things happen, don't they? Life can be so unpredictable. One moment you're sipping tea in a cozy cafe, and the next... Well, let's not dwell on such gloomy matters. There are far more delightful things to discuss. Don't you agree?
Were you working the night of the murder?
Ah, my dear, I must confess that I don't have the faintest clue about the locations of these unfortunate murders. You see, I tend to focus on more pleasant aspects of life, like picking mushrooms or trying out new recipes. The world outside of Vaudeville is simply beyond my realm of knowledge. But I'm sure you will uncover all the answers you seek, won't you?
Are you missing a butcher's knife from the shop?
Well, my goodness. A missing butcher's knife, you say? How scandalous. I can't imagine such a thing happening in PASCAL'S shop. It's always been such a reliable place for all my culinary needs. But really, I do hope you find the culprit soon. It's rather unsettling to think that someone would take such a thing. Tisk tisk.
Do you work at Pascal's Groceries?
No, my dear. I'm afraid I don't work at PASCAL'S Groceries. But it's quite amusing to think of me behind the counter, doling out produce and exchanging pleasantries with the customers. A charming thought, but alas, not my reality. Though I must admit, the idea does have a certain mischievous appeal, doesn't it?
Who are you?
Aren't you curious? But I'm afraid I can't reveal all my secrets just yet. A lady needs to keep an air of mystery, you see. Besides, it's much more fun to let you wonder and speculate. Life is full of surprises, my dear detective. Perhaps you'll uncover more about me in due time. Until then, let's focus on the task at hand, shall we?
Did you know Maria Jansen?
Maria Jensen. Yes, I knew her quite well. She was a fascinating woman, always so full of life and adventure. Such a shame what happened to her. But you know, life can be quite unpredictable, can't it? One moment you're sipping champagne at a grand party, and the next. Well, let's not dwell on such morbid thoughts. There are far more delightful things to discuss. Don't you agree?
Did you know Haley Greenwood?
Haley Greenwood. Yes, I had the pleasure of meeting her a few times. She was rather intriguing, I must say. Always had a way of capturing attention with her presence. But alas, fate can be cruel, can't it? It's a pity she won't be gracing us with her charm anymore. Life is truly a fragile thing, my dear detective.
Did you know Nicola Grossman?
Nicola Grossman. Yes, I knew her. Quite a fascinating woman, I dare say. But you know, life has a way of throwing unexpected twists and turns at us, doesn't it? It's a shame she met such an untimely end. Makes one appreciate the preciousness of every moment, don't you think?
Okay, I just had to update my notes. I saw Nikola, and I was thinking like Nikola Tesla, so I just assumed it was a man. And that was on me. That was my mistake. So it's a business woman, or I don't even know if she was a businesswoman, but she was older, found outside of business. Let me just say right now, this woman is like suspect number one. Like, she is my prime person of interest already. Her mysterious air, the way that she knows all of the victims, we can't rule out Miss Potter. I don't even know what she's doing here, but she seems creepy. So I'm going to put a note about that. Miss Potter equals sus. All right, let's go out. And then let's see, where else can we go? This is the Blackwoods. Maybe this is where they found, oh my god. Hello?
Greetings, dear traveler. What brings you to the sacred realm of the Blackwoods? Is it the secrets that whisper through the rustling leaves, or the enchanting melodies of the creatures that dwell within? But forgive me. I digress. How may I assist you on this fine day?
What can you tell me about Maria Jansen?
Maria Jensen, a name that dances upon the winds of the forest. She was a soul who once graced the land of Vaudeville with her presence. A delicate flower, she bloomed with beauty and grace, but alas, her petals were scattered by the cruel hand of fate. Her spirit now wanders in the ethereal realms, seeking solace and peace. But fear not, for her essence lingers in the hearts of those who knew her, like a gentle breeze that whispers her name.
Are there any dangerous animals in these woods?
Oh, dear wanderer, the Blackwoods is a realm of harmony and balance. While there may be creatures that some would deem dangerous, I prefer to see them as misunderstood guardians of a sacred place. The foxes, with their cunning eyes and nimble paws, watch over the secrets hidden within the undergrowth. The owls, wise and silent, keep a vigilant eye on the night. And the majestic deer, with their graceful steps, tread lightly on the moss-covered paths.
Have you ever seen a wolf in these woods?
The wolf, you say, a creature of both mystery and power. Yes, I've encountered these magnificent beings in my travels through the depths of the forest. Their presence is as elusive as the moon's reflection upon a tranquil lake. They are the embodiment of strength and resilience, moving through the shadows with grace. But fear not, for their feral nature does not make them inherently malicious. Like all beings, they too are part of the delicate tapestry of life, playing their role in the grand symphony of the woods.
Were you in the Blackwoods the night that Maria Jensen was killed?
Oh, dear detective, I must apologize for the confusion. While I reside within the Blackwoods, my knowledge is confined to the realm of the trees and creatures that dwell within. The affairs of the city, such as the unfortunate incident involving Maria Jensen, do not fall within my purview. I am but a humble guardian of this sacred place, tending to the harmony that exists here. But worry not, for the whispers of the wind carry tales far and wide, and I'm certain the truth will find its way to you in due time.
Okay, so I kind of thought that the body was here in the woods, but maybe it was a different location. All right, so one of these places is where the dancer was, and then we have a lot more work to do in terms of getting to the bottoms of things. And, we're going to explore, and we need to go back to the morgue, maybe ask some more questions, go to the police station, and ask more questions still. The lady in the woods did confirm that wolves could be there. Maybe. I don't know if that's an important deal. And then, let's see. What is this place? Corral. Okay. Boy. Like, I don't know what I was thinking about where I was or what time I was in, but her, like, tank top and everything has me completely thrown off. Hi, what is corral?
Oh, corral. It's not actually pronounced like that. It's pronounced coral, like the beautiful underwater reefs. It's a bar downtown here in Vaudeville. The whole place is decorated with undersea themes, like shells, seaweed, and colorful fish. It's such a vibrant and lively place. Musicians and dancers from all over the world come here to start their careers before moving on to bigger stages. It's like a melting pot of talent and creativity. You should definitely check it out sometime, Detective Martini. It's such a magical place.
Is this where Haley Greenwood worked?
Oh, Haley. Yes, she was a dear friend of mine. But I'm not sure where she worked exactly. We were both aspiring ballerinas, you see, and we spent most of our time practicing and rehearsing together. We didn't really talk about our jobs outside of that. But I can tell you, Haley was incredibly talented and dedicated to her craft. She had dreams of making it big in the dance industry. It's just heartbreaking what happened to her. I still can't believe she's gone.
All right, so we found her best friend here, Ingrid, working at Coral. But she didn't know where Haley was a dancer at, which is interesting. Was Haley friends with Maria Jensen?
Yes, Detective Martini. Haley and Maria were actually good friends. They were part of the same ballet company and often danced in the same performances. They had a special bond, They would always encourage and support each other. It's devastating that they're both gone now. Losing two friends in such a short span of time. It's hard to comprehend. But we have to stay strong and find out the truth behind their deaths. We owe it to them, don't you think?
So I'm blown away by this. I don't understand. They worked at the same ballet company, and they were good friends. Like, the detective or the police chief was like, there's no connection. We can't figure it out. That seems pretty important. Okay, so we're making headway here. Was Haley friends with Nicola Grossman?
Yes, Haley and Nicola were also good friends. It's amazing how close-knit our little dance community is here in Vaudeville. We all share the same passion and dreams, so it's only natural that we form deep connections with one another. Haley, Nicola, and I would spend hours together, rehearsing, sharing stories, and supporting each other's aspirations. It breaks my heart to think that we've lost two incredible souls. But we must find justice for them. Don't you agree, Detective Martini? We can't let their lives be forgotten.
Okay, well now Ingrid is primary suspect number one. She's friends with everybody. They're all dancers. They're all competing to get the starring role. This lady now slips up to the suspicious list. I'll tell you what. This is how I play all detective games, by the way. I just suspect everyone. I think everyone is guilty, so I can't be wrong because I just arrest every single person in the town. And I think that's the best way to go about it. Well, everyone, I have to say that I am completely intrigued by this game. This is the kind of detective game that I'm used to playing, just a classic old school, trying to get information, talking to people, point and click adventure, and yet instead it has this experience where I can say anything I want with my microphone or type it, and then the AI script will kind of respond in some of it's probably written, some of it's probably AI, and make it feel so much more immersive and natural and just, I don't know how to explain it, but alive than a typical game. So I would love to know what you all think about this first look at Vaudeville. Are you impressed by the interaction? Have you ever played a game that does something like this? Would you like to see more of this game? Is this the kind of a game that you're interested in? Please talk to me in the comments below about Vaudeville, and I would love to just kind of, get everyone's impressions of the game. My impressions are, I think it looks good, and mostly I'm just so impressed by the story. The vibe of the game is really, really cool. The characters are cool, and the interaction is unlike anything else I've ever done in gaming, so I'm pumped to see more of it. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Take care.